You know what really cheeses my onions? Bollocks that doesn't need to be in video games. You know what I'm on about. That special kind of bollocks that needlessly brings the whole thing down when not having it in there would actually improve the experience. Look, I really like Mountain Blade, but there are certain aspects about it that really gives me a rage stiffy. Now, before anyone says it, yes, Warband is the better game, and yet I tend to get along better with the original. I think this is because of its difficulty curve, which I also found to be bollocks, because some genius on the developing team thought it'd be a good idea to have the hardest part of the game right at the start, and then everything gets a lot easier the more soldiers you have. And don't get me wrong, the OG Mountain Blade does this as well, but it's like 10 times worse in Warband, because you get about 50 men, go and loot a village, because how the fuck else are you supposed to get money and food at short notice? But then an army of about 500 comes charging over the hills, kicks your ass up and down the field for 10 minutes, after which you'll get captured and lose everything that you've worked towards. Then it's rinse and repeat until you've saved up enough shame points for one of the other kingdoms to take you on as a mercenary out of sheer pity. So, what's the alternative when starting out in this game? Well, there are missions and quests that you could do. Yeah, I think I'd rather play a game of rugby, but where the ball's been replaced with a beehive. Christ, those missions! You may remember me talking about those before in my NPCs that take the piss 2 video, but whilst I still think that that one was the worst, they're all pretty bad now that I think about it. The mission where you have to track down wanted criminals is the same thing each time. You get given a name of a criminal and his location, so you go there, ride around the village till you find some dude hiding behind a hovel, then you go up to him and ask him right to his face, "Are you a wanted criminal?" At which point he goes, "And what makes you think I'm a criminal?" To which you answer, "Because you have a sword." We're in the medieval period and your only reasoning for this guy being a criminal is that he has a sword. Might as well arrest everyone else in this settlement then. But after giving him this amazing deduction, he goes, "Shit, I've been found out." Well, if you're dumb enough to admit it after that, then you deserve to be arrested. Seriously, I think that being stupid should be a crime. If you're found guilty of being stupid, then your punishment should be to go back to school. What else is there? Oh yeah, the missions where you have to collect debts from other nobles is a complete waste of time, because they all go, "Well, I could pay this other guy back, if you make it worth my while." And then he asks for like a fifth of the debt that he owes, which is total bollocks, because they're asking for the exact amount that you're going to get as a reward for this mission. So unless your persuasion skill is at max, then you're not going to get anything out of this one. Oh what, the king will like you a little more? The king can f*** off. Why is it that he never grants me any fiefs, even if I'm the one that's single-handedly expanding his kingdom and winning his wars? I think that trebling his territory in size has earned me the right to tell him to f*** off to his face. I mean, take a look at this map. Now, this area here is what we started off with. These areas here, here, and here are territories that that's me, as in single-handedly, all on my lonesome with no backup, conquered. Now, despite this massive favour that I've done for the king, he's only granted me 3 castles and 1 city. He also gave me 2 villages that are located out in the middle of nowhere for being a good boy, but what pisses me off is his decision on who to give the rich towns to. When you defeat a faction for good, their former nobles then get to choose which of the remaining factions to join. Now, after being at war with the Nords for a while, I managed to win the fight on my own, and thus their entire kingdom fell under our control. Several of their former nobles joined our side, but after going to war with Swadia and taking some of their cities, the king was presented with a very important decision. Either give ownership of this conquered city to his most trusted and loyal nobleman, that being Lord True-of-You, or give it to one of his other nobles that did nothing but sit on their asses watching me ensure their survival. And did you know what he did? Not only did he not give me control of the city, but he gave it to one of the converted lords. They've contributed fuck all to our kingdom. In fact, at one time they were our enemies, and yet you'd favour them above me? Where would this kingdom be if it weren't for me? I've been a lord of this faction for much longer than them, conquered more than them. I'm carrying this faction on my own, and yet you'd prefer to reward those who do nothing? What is this, a communist state? All nobles should be treated equally? Well, fuck you then, I'm retiring from the war. See how far you'll get now. Oh, I see one of our castles is under siege. Sorry, I can't help. I'm trying to be more like a nobleman. There's a castle with my name on it that hasn't been used for dossing in for quite some time now. Let the legend of True Review the Shirker begin. Poets will write ballads about what I didn't fucking accomplish for generations to come. People will tell stories to their children of how I bravely kicked my heels during our time of peril, of how I stood up to our enemies, and then immediately sat back down again because I couldn't give a rat's ass about what's happening to this fucking kingdom. Oh my god, I got a little bit carried away just then. But can you see my frustration? I'm so underappreciated in this game. Yes, I'm being constantly chosen as marshal, but that job sucks. All it means is that I can start military campaigns if I wanted, but that doesn't mean that whoever I find to help out is actually going to help out. The Nords again. I took one of their castles, and I think that there must have been a bug, or maybe the king suddenly had a freak moment of sanity, and I was somehow awarded it. But then it immediately came under siege and I was quite far away. So I decided to treat this like the Falklands conflicts and declared a f***-off crusade in response. I went to every Rodok castle and dragged each nobleman out of it by the ears and took them all to my new castle. We arrived just in time and I headed straight into the fight. By all accounts, we should have outnumbered the enemy by like 10 to 1, but after diving straight into battle, I noticed that the enemy had more men than us. In fact, the battle statistics showed that the enemy had just over 900 men against my 150. And this confused me. How is it that I have 150 men when I've brought our entire military might upon... They didn't get involved, did they? And I was fucking right! I managed to win the fight, but after returning to the map screen, I realised that during the fighting, the rest of my allies had just simply stood back and watched me do all the work, presumably as they just sat there munching on biscuits and going, good fight this. Oh, the Nords are sending in more men. You reckon he's going to hold them off? Don't know, we'll find out, won't we? Hey, pass me some of those sausages. Fucking hell. So when's this next tournament happening? Meanwhile, my men are all bleeding out on the battlements and I'm doing my best at hacking away at the hordes of men scaling ladders. Oh, fuck! Now you've gone and done it! You've reminded me of how infuriating it is to take part in sieges. Now, this only applies when ladders are involved, but did anyone else feel like their soldiers really hated them when you're the one attacking? Jesus Christ! Never before did I realise how rage-inducing it is to climb ladders. For some reason, in this game, you can't pass through your allies. Now, this makes sense because otherwise that'd make you a ghost, but there is a massive drawback to this. This means that your allies can block your path, but more importantly, they can push you around. But you can't push them. And if you're not the first one into the breach, then good luck actually making it to the breach. You'll start to climb the ladder, but as the guy in front of you stops, you'll find that you can't get past him, so you'll have to wait until either he breaks through, or he dies. But the problem with this is that the guy behind you is trying to force you out of the way. 9 times out of 10, the dude behind will get so impatient that he actually pushes you off the ladder, forcing you to join the back of the queue. Start back up again, and the man behind you will throw you off as well. It's a fight in of itself just to get to the top of the ladder. And what's even more annoying is that you know the second you reach the top is the second the battle starts shifting in your favour, yet your allies just don't seem to get that. In the worst case I had with this, we lost 60. That's 60 men just trying to climb the ladder, and that was only because my own men kept grabbing me by the collar and throwing me to the floor every time I got within inches of the top. It's like they're saying, "Don't worry, sir, despite how many tens of thousands of men you've killed as well as how many kingdoms you've conquered, you clearly don't know what you're doing here, so we'll handle this." Oh no, it looks like I've just walked straight into a sword. Whoops. And that's just when you're attacking. When you're defending, everyone huddles around the head of the ladder and gang rapes whoever reaches the top. But in those cases, I'll be standing at the front, ready to kill whoever appears before me, but when an enemy does finally show up, one of my other guys steps in as I bring my sword down and cancels out my attack. You can't attack your allies with melee weapons in this game. If you try, it kind of looks like you're just giving them a friendly nudge. So when I'm standing there with my two-handed sword raised up high and an enemy appears, when I bring my sword down and an ally steps in the way, it looks like I'm just tapping them on the head. Despite being their commander, I get the impression that my own men think that I'm so bad at warfare that it'd be best if I just find a quiet spot out of the way to kneel down in and cry until the fighting is over. You'd be surprised how often my attacks get denied by my own fucking soldiers. And not just in sieges. The battlefield is another place it happens frequently. I tend to take the Khanate approach to building armies, as in have everyone mounted. So heroes, knights, horsemen and mercenary cavalry makes up the bulk of my army. But I find that in these fights, even though we end up inflicting heavy damage upon our enemies, I swear that every time I spur my horse around to make another pass at the enemy forces, does an allied horseman suddenly gallop right across me and forces my horse to stop dead in its tracks. Well, thanks a fucking lot for that. You realise you just cut me up? It actually frightens me how much my mounted allies remind me of English drivers in general. It's like they're out to be the biggest wankers on the road. I have never experienced anything close to road rage in a video game before, but Mount & Blade has successfully managed to achieve that somehow. If these NPCs are real-life drivers, their insurance premiums would be the size of the national debt. In conclusion... Alright, I realise I've been bashing this game throughout the entire video, but hey, this is called Rant after all. But having said all of that, I actually really enjoy this game. It's like if Oblivion and Medieval 2 Total War hooked up and had a baby together. But that baby turned out to be thick and lacked social skills. And was ugly as sin. Great genes, but you're glad that it's not your child.
Sometimes I think this life is killing me.